Hey guys, it's Drake with the RPG Construct. So we're going to do another one of these Call of Cthulhu 7th edition kind of how-to tutorials. In this episode, we're going to talk about skill rolls. Now, there is a huge list in Call of Cthulhu when it comes to skills. As you see here on the investigator sheet, all of these things are all skills. Some you pick as an occupation, some you pick as just your personal interest, but you see everything from anthropology to fighting, firearms, all the way down to swimming, tracking, throwing, etc., etc. So you kind of get the point of, what it is. So this is really the system. It's really the difference between this one, besides a couple other mechanics. But when it comes to rolling, you're not just rolling a d20 and that's it. Whenever you're doing either a statistic or a skill roll, the point is to roll lower than what your skill is. So, to go back here, if we were doing a spot hidden, when I roll a d100, I have to hit a 36, I have to hit below a 36. So a 35 or under is a success, okay? Equal to or greater than that amount is a failure, okay? It's really fairly simple. If you don't hit this number, you don't succeed, right? So that's very similar if you're doing a DC check in 5th edition or of D&D, or you're trying to hit somebody's AC. Very similar thing, except this isn't based off of someone else as far as skill checks. It's just what is your skill. So with spot hidden, if it's just a normal average situation, I have basically a 35% chance or 36% chance to be successful. So 1 in 3, not very good, right? So the other thing is, when you come to any type of statistic or skill check, you have 3 kind of situations. In Call of Cthulhu, it's just a regular difficulty, a hard difficulty, or extreme. Okay? Now, when you're getting into these hard and extreme situations, the difficulty to make that roll or make that success is going to increase. The difficulty is going to increase. So that is what these little boxes are. Okay? You have the main roll here for just a regular situation. This is 1/2 of that, and this is 1/4. This is 1/5 of that. So in an extreme situation, okay, let's just use this one here with handguns, right? If I'm falling backwards, rolling down a set of stairs, blind in one eye, there's no way in hell I'm ever going to make that shot. That's an extreme situation, right? It's pushing the limits of what the human body can do, all right, or human skill level can do. So with that, I would have to roll 12 or below. So needless to say, that is extreme. Now the really cool thing about Cthulhu is miracles do happen, and it's possible. There's a small chance, but it is possible to make those rolls. So think about that when you're doing things, and you don't really have to worry about it as a player. It's more the keepers that have to do those things, but it's just something to kind of keep in mind as you're doing it. Now, who sets the difficulties? Well, really the keeper does. And you'll probably be informed if it's a hard situation, or generally by the narrative of what's going on, you'll have a pretty good idea. But the keeper will tell you if this is hard, regular, or extreme, and what you need to hit. Now, when it comes to these skill rolls, the really, interesting thing is, just because you fail doesn't mean you actually fail. Okay? You have 2 options if you fail a skill or a stat roll. The first one is called luck. Now, I did a video on luck before. You can add, luck points to any skill or stat roll that you do. So, for example, we'll go back to this screen here. Let's say that spot hidden, that I roll a 30, or that I roll a 40. So I fail that check. I can actually take some of my luck points and add them to my roll one for one and make that roll a success. Okay? Now, but there's a catch to it. There's always a catch to everything in Cthulhu. You only have a finite number of luck points. And that's, as I said in the other video, 3d6 times 5 is usually what you do when you start. So let's just say, for example, you have 50. And in this situation, you just grab 4 or 5 of them. Now you only have 45. And the lower your luck is, okay, as I said in the last video, the more likely you are to have bad things happen. Okay? So it's a failure doesn't always mean a failure. You have other options. The other thing that you can do with skill rolls is you can do what they call pushing the roll. For all intents and purposes, pushing the roll is a do-over. Okay? It's, well, you failed this time, you're going to try again. But, like always, there's a catch. When you push a roll, if you fail that as well, there's consequences. And the consequences of that pushing failure are going to be greater than just failing the initial one. Usually the failure repercussions or consequences are going to be laid out by your keeper. Example, let's say you're climbing out on a ledge. You're going to do your climb skill. You're going hand over hand trying to, you're 5 floors up. You're going hand over hand trying to get over to the next window. Somebody came home in a place that you were hiding out in, whatever. And you fail that roll. Okay? You when you push a roll, you have to have it make sense. You have to explain to the keeper why it makes sense that you would have another attempt at this. Something like climbing and you're dangling off a ledge, sure, you're just going to keep trying. You're not just going to fall to your death, right? But in anything you do, if you're picking a lock, why would it make sense for you to go in? Just how does it play narratively? Does it make sense? As long as it does, most keepers are going to give you that opportunity. Okay? So, if you fail that on that ledge, okay, if you push the roll and you fail it again, does that mean you're just going to plummet to your death? No, of course not. It doesn't mean certain death, but it means something bad's going to happen. That could mean you fall onto a fire escape, down below and take some damage. You break a leg. You do get up and get to the next window, but that window's attached to the same place and the guy grabs you and pulls you in. It could be 100 different things. Okay. Now, when it comes to skill checks and stat checks, you can push that roll. Okay. We haven't really gotten into combat in this video series yet, but it's going to be my next one. But in combat, you cannot push the rolls. Pushing the rolls is only for a skill check or a skill roll. All right. So, but I think it's one of the really cool things about Cthulhu is in typical RPGs, you play it, you roll to see if you hit, you don't hit. There you go. Sometimes you crit, sometimes you have an epic fail, and those are cool. But if you miss, you miss, right? In this game, in 7th edition Call of Cthulhu, if I miss, I got a couple options. Because in real life, we have a couple options. Sometimes you get lucky, right? Sometimes you want to put a little bit extra effort. You may pay for it later, but you have more than one option. It's not just hit or miss. Or it's not just, oh, I missed that. So when it comes to skills, just know that that main number is what you're looking for under regular circumstances. Remember that miracles do happen. And remember that just because you fail that roll does not mean you don't have other options. You can push that roll, but understand, if you push it, if you take the risk, you could pay for it. So, hope that explains skill rolls to you guys. I hope it explains that, that the half mark of your skill is that hard rating, the 1/5 is your extreme rating, and you cannot push combat rolls. Remember that. So, with that, that is the end of this particular episode. I hope you guys understand a little bit more now, as I do. And when you're making those skill rolls, may your dice roll low. Take care, guys.